Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the part 5 and final part of this ultimate talent guide. And this part 5 is all about the Blackrock units. So we're going to cover every single Blackrock leader, unit, and spell. And we're going to check every single one of their talent to help you guys make a wise decision when picking your first talent. So if you guys are looking for any other faction, you can look for my playlist for the other 4 videos of this series. But without further ado, we'll start with the leaders. But just before I do so, guys, please, if this is helpful for you guys, if you guys love the content, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot, and I'm gonna do much more content on this game. And yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, for the leaders, the first leader we have, and this is one that hits close to home, it's Rand Blackhand. It's the first leader that I had. Rand Blackhand has some awesome talents. So if you guys are looking to get some talents, I would suggest getting one for Rand Blackhand as quickly as possible. The first one, Flaming Soul. Cast a Living Bomb upon dismounting, damaging nearby enemies. So Living Bomb is actually a 6 cost spell. So Living Bomb is actually insane. It deals so much damage, it clears a whole push by itself. And so what you can do basically is you could play your Rand Blackhand defensively, and even if it dies, you're gonna destroy his whole push with the Flaming Soul. So this, to me, is probably one of the best talent in the game, if that's not the best talent in the game. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler of which one I'm going to suggest, but we'll check the other 2. We have Scale and Steel, where the Rand Blackhand gains Resistant while flying. Resistant is 50% less damage to elemental damage, and Armored while dismounted. So this is good because we're just going to be surviving much more longer, and whatever counters Rand Blackhand in the air with elemental damage, with physical damage, will be not effective once Rand Blackhand hits the ground and is now armored. So very good talent as well. And then we have Legionnaire, where this is more of an interesting one, where he dismounts when first taking damage, and then the Drake continues fighting. So this means we're going to have 2 units that are going to do damage at once, which can be really good, especially if you connect on a tower. But here it's a very easy pick, and I strongly suggest picking Flaming Soul. So I would say the other ones are like probably A tier talents, and then Flaming Soul is like an SS tier talent, something crazy like that. Next up, we have the second and only second leader, General Drakisath, which I think is one of the least played leader, probably with Charlga. But I enjoy him a lot. What are his talents, right? First one, Chromatic Scales. Grant nearby allies the resistant trait. This is just good, more tanky. We have Lasting Legacy, where on death drops a banner. Nearby enemies take 50% additional elemental damage last 10 seconds. So basically, that just prolongs his effect 10 seconds past his death. So this is really good. The effect of General Drakisath is he does 50%. Nearby enemy takes 50% more additional elemental damage. So yeah, this is just pushes that ability past his lifespan. And then we have Piercing Blows, where attack pierces through enemies in the line. For me, this is probably the one I suggest. I love having AoE. This is very good. It's always useful. I love talents that are always useful in every single circumstances. Well, I guess if you're against a single unit, but I mean the abilities always take an effect. It's just really good. Chromatic Scale, you need to have allies next to it, and it's harder to get as much value as possible. But honestly, I think none of them are too crazy, so you could go for either one of these 3. They're all okay, I would say. So let's jump to the units and spell. We have Corehound as our first one. Corehound has some very interesting talent. The first one is the one I picked, Fiery Rebirth. So on Resurrection, near damage. No, sorry, wait. I have Eternal Bond. We'll get it. But Fire Rebirth on Resurrection, damage nearby enemies. This is okay. The thing is, resurrecting doesn't happen that often. So the effect won't happen all the time. And I think we're better off with one of the other two talents. Okay, so the one I have, sorry for the mistake earlier, is Eternal Bond. So the resurrection range is unlimited. The idea behind taking that one was to create 2 push at once, and then when one of the push is getting destroyed, well, the second one's going to resurrect back the core hound, and vice versa. However, there's a big bug right now in the meta. I think they might fix it, where the resurrection range doesn't work. So the one of the core hounds is not even going to attempt to resurrect the other one in a lot of circumstances. So if they fix that, I suggest going for Eternal Bond. I think it's super fun, but right now it's broken. I suggest going for Guard Dog, which deal 50% additional damage near friendly towers and meeting stone. So this is just good because you can play it defensively, and 50% additional damage is very powerful. It's a lot of damage for sure. Next up, we have the Dark Iron Miner. Don't think the Dark Iron Miner have such great talents, but let's check them quickly. So Dark Iron Armament. So after mining gains armor. I think this is fine, but the thing is, we mostly only play our Dark Iron Miner just to get that gold and maybe kill a miner at the same time, and then we just get like a gold advantage. So I think, like, yes, this becomes like somewhat of a tank, but that's not the whole idea of playing Dark Iron Miner is. So I think it's okay. Then we have Gold Mine. Gold Mine, get it? Because after mining, drop up proximity mine, damages nearby enemies when touched. So for me, I think the idea behind this talent is basically to not only we take this gold mine, but we're going to secure it from our opponent that wants to play his miner, right? So if your opponent plays a miner for the second round of the gold mine, well, there's going to be a mine there, and it's not, they're going to have to do something before playing their miner there. So yeah, I think this is very interesting. But we also have Dwarven Ambition, where he gains Fury. I'm not too exactly sure how it works. Does mining count as an attack? If it does, that means he would mine faster, which could be good. But even if it is the case, I think Gold Mine is just better because we have just more interactions here. But all of these talents are not too great in my opinion. Next up, we have the Drake. The Drake first talent is Mother Drake, where she periodically summons a whelp egg. I think whelp eggs are really good. Obviously, they're better when they're bunched together. But this is basically free value for just picking a talent. So I think this one is very good. We also have Roost, where perched on top of a nearby tower, staying there to defend it. I think all of those talents are very interesting. There's one for the War Song. There's one for this Drake. I think it's very fun. It's a very unique way to play the game. But as a first talent, I wouldn't suggest picking it because you want to get a talent that's going to work in all the decks you're going to play them. And I think Roost is very niche. But yeah, we also have Engulfing Flames, where damaging enemies burns them. I think this one is overkill. I think the Drake does so much damage that we're better off going for utility with maybe the whelp eggs here. So yeah, I would suggest going for Mother Drake, but Engulfing Flame is fine, and Roost is, I think, can be very fun, might be even good, but it's gonna be in very niche's case, and we're gonna have to wait for the meta to develop before seeing if this talent has a lot of value. Next up, we have the Earth Elemental. So the Earth Elemental, this is a crazy good unit because it's a Unbound unit. All Unbound units are pretty good right now. And for the talents, we have Ready to Rumble, where he taunt on deploys. This is good, but I think if you have good positioning, you're always going to have your enemies already attacking this Earth Elemental anyway. So I think if you're really good, it's not necessary to have Ready to Rumble as a talent. I think you're better off with another one. We have Shrapnel Blast, where Destroying a tower deals damage to nearby enemy. Right now in the PvP meta, there's only one tower. So this is basically useless. And we have Obsidian Shard, where on death split into 2 smaller Earth Elemental. For me, I took this one. I think this one is very, very strong because it just adds more tankiness. Just more value to our Earth Elemental in 100% of the cases. Next up, we have the Fire Elemental. So we have some interesting talents. The first one, Immolation Aura. So periodically damage nearby enemies. I think this one is very, very good because your opponent won't be able to play Harpies against it. So Harpies are a very good, very powerful counter to the Fire Elemental without any talent. But with the Immolation Aura, the Harpies are going to start attacking it, and then they're going to immediately die. Same for Vultures and stuff like that. So I think that is very good. It also counters like Angry Chicken Armies, some Raptors, stuff like that. So a lot of value from this talent. We also have Molten Core, where on death, summon a pool of lava, damaging enemies within. I think this can also be very good. It could deal a lot of damage, but however, if you're barely if you're barely losing the push, that means your opponent is already going to have all his troop almost dead. And so this might not get value in every single circumstances, but it's still pretty good. I think just Immolation Aura is better because it's more consistent. But these two are very good talents. And we have, for the third talent, Fan the Flames, where taking elemental damage increases damage dealt by 10%, stacks to 30%. So this increases the damage basically by 30%. But basically Immolation Aura does that already, pretty much. So yeah, for me, I think it's clear I'll go with Immolation Aura, but Molten Core could be good, very good as well. These two are very, very good. Next up, we have the Fire Hammer. The first talent, Molten Metal, where she's going to deal 50% more damage to flying enemies. This can be very good. Depends the deck. If you have some big issues against like gargoyles with anything in the air, this can be very good. But me, I took Blazing Speed, where Fury builds up to 40% higher, because I feel that even if we don't have Molten Metal, the 40% increased Fury build is going to be useful to destroy those gargoyles anyway and those flying units. So yeah, I think Blazing Speed already does a little bit of what Molten Metal does, maybe a little bit less effectively, but also has benefits to ground units and stuff like that. And then we have Heightened Rage, where she levels up upon reaching full Fury. I think this sucks. I'm not too fond of the leveling up mechanic. I don't think it's that powerful. I might be wrong. Someone might prove me wrong. Tell me down below what you guys think about that. But to me, I don't feel it's that powerful right now in the meta. And so I suggest going for Blazing Speed here. We have the Flame Waker. The first talent, Heat Stroke, damaging enemies, dazes them. To me, when you play the Flame Waker, you want to kill enemy, you don't want to daze them. So I think this is not necessary. And then we have Backdraft, successive attacks, increase flame wave distance, reset on movement. So this is very, very unique. It's crazy. To me, I think this is very good only if you are an expert at the game and you know perfect positioning with a lot of different units and you know pathing and stuff. I think Backdraft can become very, very good if you can align the enemy front line with the back line. This can become very crazy. And then we have Engulf, for damaging enemies, burn them. So once again, I feel like we're already killing them. We're already dealing a lot of damage with Flame Waker. I think Backdraft is just better here. I think burning enemies is just overkill. And plus, if we play our cards correctly, we are not going to have our Flame Walker dying. So the burn effect is just going to be overkill. So Backdraft it is. Next up, we have the Living Bomb. So the first talent for the Living Bomb, Burden of Fate, where affected enemies are dazed. The thing about Living Bomb is that every time you play it, you just destroy the whole push. So I feel like Burden of Fate is very useless, or at least in the current meta. We have Chain Reaction, where splash damage inflicts Living Bomb. This is, once again, our normally we are able to clear the whole push with just a single Living Bomb without even a talent. So yeah, I think this is a little bit overkill. And then we have Blast Radius, where it also burns enemies within 10 range. So again, once again, I think this is overkill. I think none of these talents are great. If you guys were to push for certain talent, I would suggest maybe waiting on this one and getting some others before. But if I had to pick, I would go for Chain Reaction just to be sure everything dies. And plus, like, if a Living Bomb explode and then it casts a Living Bomb on something else and there's a turret in the middle of that, well, then you're gonna have extra damage on turrets, so that could be good here. Next up, the Molten Giant. Once again, the talents for the Molten Giant, I don't feel they're too great. We have Threatening Presence, where he gains Taunt. This is good. Once again, I feel like Taunt is the type of thing where if you have good positioning, Taunt doesn't matter. You can make your enemies attack your whatever you want. We have Blood of the Mountain, where on death explode, damaging nearby enemies. So this is good. You're going to deal damage nearby enemies. So if there's harpies on your Molten Giant, they're going to die. So that's pretty good. And then we have Bolster, where heal when destroying a tower. So for me, it's either Blood of the Mountain or Bolster. But I pick Bolster because I love the fact of having some surprise health once you're charging on your enemy base. And it's going to be very hard for your opponent to destroy your push with that extra health. Next up, we have the Blackrock Pyromancer. The Blackrock Pyromancer actually has some good talents. First of all, we have Pyroblast, where she deals triple damage on the first attack. I believe this is very, very good. Deals a lot more damage. You can one-shot some stuff that you couldn't before, and then you have that consistent AoE normal damage afterwards for the other stuff, right? We have Conflagrate, I think it's how it's pronounced, where the splash area is double. This is actually my favorite. I think this is very, very good because even if you hit a front line, you're gonna hit some stuff on the sides, especially if you have good positioning once again. So yeah, that's the one I suggest. But there's also Blaze of Glory, where damage and burn nearby enemies on death. I'm not too fond of sacrificing our unit that we want to keep alive, so that's why I would go for either Pyroblast or Conflagrate, but Blaze of Glory might appear somewhere in another deck down the line. Next up, we have another spell. We have Smoke Bomb, where he's going to have some horrible talents, I think. First of all, Strangers in the Night effects applies to enemies as well. I know this one is crazy. It's very crazy. Once again, we're gonna have to design a whole deck around that. But as of right now, I don't feel we've found a deck that works really well with this talent. So we're better off with another one. We have Band of Thieves, where it grants +1 level to cycles minis within. Once again, I'm not too fond of leveling up. I don't think it's too powerful. And we have Through the Shadows, where affected minis move 50% faster until unstealth. So I think that one is actually pretty interesting because we're going to be able to like rush down our enemy base faster and stuff like that. So for me, I'm going for Through the Shadows here. Next up and last unit, we have the Whelp Eggs, where we're going to have some interesting talents. First of all, Rookery. When one egg hatches, the other hatch immediately. I don't really like that one. In some circumstances, this is going to be great, but I feel like there's other scenarios where you want it to just be one at a time and just stall a little bit. So Rookery might be ineffective in some scenarios, and yeah, I would go instead for one of the other two. We have Flame Burst, where the Whelp Eggs damage nearby enemies when hatching. I think this is very, very good. If your opponent is trying to destroy your stuff with harpies, vultures, stuff like that, just the explosion is going to do damage. It's pretty good damage as well. It's just more damage. So this, I think, is very, very good here. But we also have Chromatic Plating, where the eggs are going to gain Taunt But like I mentioned a couple of times, if you play correctly, especially with the unbound unit, you're already half taunt. So yeah, I would suggest going for Flame Burst. And this is going to close our series. This was part 5 out of 5 of the Ultimate Talent Guide. And if you guys want to see any of the other 4 parts, you can check my playlist. You can check my other videos. And yeah, tell me what you guys want to see next on the channel. I'm going to do more PvP decks and stuff like that. But I'm planning some new ideas for the official release of the game. So thank you guys so much for watching so far, and I'll see you guys in the next one.